and keep wash their hands regularly after going about their activities. So
We'll also go to China to speak to a Ghanaian teacher who teaches in a school in the Shandong province. And he will tell us what we can learn from the China example. Plus, the PRO of the Ghana Education Service, Cassandra Chum Ampofo, who will also be around to address our questions. So it's a packed show right here on A Walk with Jesus tonight. Kindly stick and stay. Remember that you can also share your comments with us via WhatsApp 055 And on the Joy FM Facebook page, do well to share the link. We're streaming live on Facebook. Right. We will be right back after this musical break. My name is Acquah, and I'm ably supported by my producers, Michaela Nai and Abraham Ofosu-Ofori. We'll be right back.
Jesus. Oh, thank you, Jesus.
That's Evangel doing a beautiful rendition of that famous tune, Blessed Jesus, bringing us to 14 minutes after the hour of 9, right here on A Walk with Jesus. You're welcome back. If you just tuned in, we're discussing full resumption of schools in the midst of COVID 19, managing anxiety or the anxiety of parents and pupils, and learning from the China example. Let's start the conversation on this note.
For me, I've been looking forward to the reopening of schools, not until the cases started going up again, and I have become a bit afraid, or perhaps to say more concerned. My girls are 3 years and then 1.5 years. The best they can do is to use a sanitizer when it's been given to them. They cannot do or wear nose mask. And so I'm a bit afraid, but my husband and I believe that God will take care of them as He's been doing, and then we are as parents are also doing our best, uh, providing or giving them or feeding them with foods that will boost their immune system, and also praying and hoping that school management and authorities will put things in place and also do their best to protect them. And we leave the rest to God. We hope and pray that God will keep our girls.
Yeah, I'm a parent to two kids who are currently in school. And the COVID situation in the country, even though for the initial period is something that has been under control, and also because we've been practicing the protocols and guidelines that were given, we've been able to manage the risks. And by saying so, I'm referring to my family and myself. However, with the reopening of schools being imminent, I'm beginning to have a few nerves strike within my mind concerning the safety of our kids going back to school. And I'm beginning to also feel a bit skeptical about their well being while in school. And this is because, first of all, we are hearing of a new strain of the virus, which I'm not sure we know how to deal with it, or if there's anything more to be done in addition to what we currently do. And secondly, I know of people who are close to me who currently contracted the virus, and it kind of lets it hit home that really COVID is out there. And left to me alone, I wouldn't take a chance to get the kids in school at the moment. And I would have wished that maybe the schools, for the time being, would be able to run kind of a hybrid system that would allow the kids to take their lessons in class and also do the majority online, which means they do not have to be in school from Monday to Friday. Because for kids who are under 10 years old, I'm really struggling to understand or appreciate how they would be able to manage themselves regarding the observation of the various protocols while in school. We know kids love to play, we know kids love to be happy, and I mean, they'll have to feel free, right? So I don't really know if they'll be able to take care of themselves. And I wish maybe that decision could be reconsidered, or maybe a hybrid system introduced for the time being until we really see how the progression of the cases in the country is going to be before the doors are fully open for kids to come back to school. That is just how I feel at the moment.
Right, so you heard worried parents there. Now, let's take a listen to what the children have to say regarding this situation.
Children are going back to school. I am having mixed feelings about this. I am excited, that is for sure. But I'm nervous. Are we really ready to go back to school? What if we don't social distance properly? I always include the well-being of children all around the world in my prayers. I hope you do too. Children, social distance, drink a lot of water, wear a mask at all times, and wash your hands often. I hope the schools are ready to receive us. I expect the COVID-19 protocols to be followed. I expect soap, water and tissues to be available at all times to enable us wash our hands properly. Parents must put hand sanitizers and extra masks and tissues in their children's bags. Parents, teachers, and guardians should pray for us as we go back to school. God save us all.
School will be in session soon for many of us. Learning in these conditions are very risky to our health, so we have to practice precautions to keep ourselves safe from harm.
I feel excited because I'll see Aaron and I'll play football. I won't share my face mask with anybody and I won't share my snack with anybody. I feel so excited to go back to school because we've been in the house and online classes. Sometimes my data finishes and my teacher's internet goes off. So I'm so excited and it has made learning in the house so boring, so I'm so happy to go back to school. As for me, I don't know how to wear the face mask for a long time, so when we go on break I'll remove it and wear my face shield, then after I'll wear my face mask. Me, I'm just praying that God will protect the people I school with so that I don't get a COVID to spread it around. I'll wear my face mask and wash my hands. And when my teacher is writing the text on my board, I will remove the face mask because that time no one will be talking and I'll be tired.
You'll be tired, Ampa. So those are the thoughts of the children there. Mixed feelings, you know. But we have on the line Mr. Adolf, who's going to be helping us. Adolf Euku Bequing is clinical psychologist and lecturer at the Methodist University College. A very good evening to you, sir.
Good evening. Good evening,
I
Pastor.
hope you're doing good.
By God's grace, I'm doing fine.
Right. So our objective tonight is to help parents and pupils who are to be resuming, God willing, tomorrow, manage the anxiety and all the mixed feeling that comes with the resumption. First of all, I would want your preliminary thoughts on everything that is happening regarding this whole COVID stuff, sir.
Thank you very much. And good evening to your cherished listeners. Well, my initial comment will be I'm a parent myself. And this evening, I attended the PTA of my school, listening to the authorities, listening into the concerns of the parents. It's a difficult moment for us. It's a difficult time for us as parents, as children. And in a certain time, we would believe that science and community sensitivity will help us take decisions that will affirm, making children more engaged, loved, and safe. And it's a mixed feeling, as you rightly put it, especially when children are not going to school, when they, we will have some stable numbers. At the very time that children are going to school, the bigger environment is registering a surge. I feel like a parent remark, reconciling these two things has been what is on my mind. Why are we going to school this time? At the very time that there is a surge, it changes the parameters a bit. All the modeling that we have done, awaiting reopening. The surge, in my view, has really changed it. And are we fitting an old model into a new model? Just because we have given timelines and we are obeying? Have we taken the surge and the new strain discovered into consideration? So these are my initial comments.
Right. Uncle Adolf, I'd beg of you to reposition yourself. We're getting some feedback from your background, so we can hear you clearly when we come back to you the next time. All right, then. Joining us on Zoom is Mr. John Kofi Owusu. He's a teacher. He's a Ghanaian, a teacher in Shandong, China, and we have him on Zoom. Right. Okay, let's listen to the teachers first, and then we'll come to Mr. John Kofi Ozu, what the teachers have got to say regarding this.
The reopening of schools is something that most parents have been looking forward to, given that the kids have been home for almost a year and a good number of them getting rusty. Some of the kids have had access to online education programs organized by their schools as well as the government sponsored programs. But this also poses another danger to the kids because some of them spend so long behind their TV screens, others also behind their computer screens. So the screen time is something that has an effect on their eyesight. Then there's a good number of them who are in the rural areas also and do not have access to this kind of education at all. So what do we do to them? So this is why we look forward to the kids coming back to school and then having them and teaching them to get them back on track. Now, looking at the numbers in the country currently, it's also difficult to say because our numbers are now on the increase. And so you ask yourself, how do we reconcile the increasing numbers with the reopening of schools? But then government has put in place measures in the schools that's to keep the kids safe. So they've been provided with sanitizers, soap, and then face masks. These will go a long way to help. Most schools have been fumigated as well. So I think with this, if we intensify education and also have the stakeholders in education coming together to play their various roles as expected of them, we're going to have the situation in check, because as stakeholders such as parents, teachers, and the students themselves all have a role to play. The parents will have to make sure that in order to keep your home safe, you have to talk to your kids, get them educated, get them to know that if they go and then they live carelessly, they're going to come back home with the virus and it's going to affect everybody. Then we have the teachers in the schools who are also going to ensure that once in school, the kids are going to keep their social distances, they're going to put on their face mask at all times and keep wash their hands regularly after going about their activities. So all these together with what the kids themselves do for themselves is going to help put the situation under check.
Yeah, so with regards to reopening of schools, once again, as a teacher and a parent, I'd say that I don't think that we've treated it with the seriousness that we need to do. Partly because I think that not enough of sensitization has been done. As we speak, JHS students, especially with JHS 1 teachers, are supposed to have gone for a workshop that would have introduced them to the new curriculum. That hasn't been done. And so you're wondering where exactly we're beginning from. Children are already trooping in on Monday, the 18th of January. And I think that we look a bit more confused than we've ever been, especially in this period. But honestly, for me, as a parent and a teacher, I think that preschoolers should never have been roped into this particular one. They should have been made to stay at home for some time, and then we're able to put our things in order so that we'll be able to bring them back in when there is a safer environment, more especially if you have a child in the public schools. Because there are a lot of public schools that are very populous. For instance, on Presby have had a KG project that we started about 4 years ago, and it's still there. It's still not completed. Imagine that it had been completed by this time. I'm sure that it would have been spacious and ventilated enough for the students to be accommodated there. So bringing your child into an environment like this will definitely not do your child that much of good. So if we're really serious, would actually tell the preschoolers to stay back home. Education is not just done by teachers. We forget that there is informal education and then there is non-formal education besides the formal education that we have. And so if we have to critically consider that, then it means that parents have major roles to play. The community also do have a very major role to play. We're not doing it that way. I don't think that we're going to do ourselves that much of good. I think that this is the time for parents to homeschool their children and then get some caregivers as well to be able to help them out. Without that, because education goes, it's not just about, it's not A, B, C, D, and then 1, 2, 3. If it's all about A, B, C, D, and 1, 2, 3, I think my child's health is of more importance than A, B, C, D, and 1, 2, 3. And I'd put that ahead of 1, 2, 3 and A, B, C, D, especially in this technological world. May the Lord help us. That's my opinion anyway. Thank you very much.
Indeed, we pray that the Lord will help us. On Zoom, joining us via Zoom is Mr. John Kofi. So he's a Ghanaian and a teacher in the Shandong province in China. Right. A very good evening to you, sir.
Good evening,
how are
sir.
You?
And
yeah, how are you doing?
The Lord has been good.
Right. First of all, I want to find out how has China handled this whole resumption of children to school? Can you share with us the practical steps they've taken to handle the case in the midst of COVID-19?
All right. Thank you very much. And let me say good evening to all your lovely listeners. Coming to China, as a teacher, at the time when China was the epicenter of this virus, we were all asked to stay home, and our health status were checked on daily basis, as well as those of the students. And so we will have to report our temperatures and everything about us every blessed day to people who have been assigned to have records of this. Some teachers were also given the assignment of making sure that they check on their students. And that means they will have to communicate with parents, and then parents will have to give them the health status of their kids and travel histories of their kids. And so that should it happen that any child is out of the city, or any child travels to a place where we would consider as a high-risk zone, then this kid probably will have to be self-quarantined for some days. That was prior to the resumption of schools. By the time we were back to school, most schools were fumigated, and like I said, all teachers were tested to be sure that everyone has got a negative result
upon,
as well as
upon
the kids.
Resumption.
Yes.
Okay.
No, that is prior to resumption.
Prior to resumption. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that was done with regards to the teachers, and then a list was prepared. Every school would have a list of the staff members. So because temperatures of all the teachers will have to be checked on daily basis, as well as that of the kids will also have to be checked on daily basis. Students were given pass cards, and with these cards, you have to show to the security. I will mention security here because all the schools in China are gated schools.
Okay.
That is a difference between China and I would say back in Ghana or my country or my home. All the schools are gated, so we have security men at the gates with their list waiting for the teachers who will have to come in, and your temperature is taken, and then you will have to pen down your temperature, the time at which it was taken, and that of the kids as well. From there, you have to proceed to the disinfection area where you are given the hand sanitizers, and then you walk into the premises of the school. Now, visitors were not allowed to get into the campus, to the school. Visitors were not allowed. For you to come in, your temperature will be taken, and your purpose of visit will be taken. Your details will be taken as well. That's your contact and your residence and everything will be taken.
By visitors, you mean parents were also considered visitors, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Parents were not allowed in because you have to leave your child behind the gate because she has to go through the health check before getting into the school.
And this is daily.
You leave the child.
This is daily.
Yes, on daily basis.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I go on?
Continue, please. We are all ears.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Right. So on daily basis, parents will have to leave their kids. And should it happen that we have more kids who just arrive and have to walk into the premise of the school, demarcations were actually made, 1 meter apart, which is what we are calling social distancing. And so they'll have to be in a queue, 1 meter apart from each other. And then you go for your temperature check. Then you proceed to the disinfection area where you are given a hand sanitizer to sanitize your hands. Then you get into the school, go into your classroom. When you get into the classroom, but before that, lest I forget, without a mask, you cannot get into the school. And if you forget your pass card, you will not get into the school. You have to wait outside until your parents will have to bring that to you. Then you can go through the necessary checks and you get into the school. Now, when you get into the school, in the classroom, there is a prepared list of the students. And so teachers are responsible. Every class teacher is responsible for every soul that gets into the school and right into your classroom. At the moment when the mother or the parents leave that kid and goes away, the child's health and everything becomes your responsibility as a class teacher. So in the classroom, they are also checked 3 times. The students are checked 3 times in a day before the lesson begins, because from the gate until you get ready for your lessons, anything could happen. And so the temperatures are checked before lessons begin. And prior to lunch break, they also have another check. And then after class, when they have to leave, you have to check because you need to report to the parent that your child is leaving the school at this temperature.
Now, during contact hours, were there incidents where you got to know through the checks that a child or two are showing symptoms?
Not if I remember. Actually, in my school, we never experienced anything of that nature. And no friend also told me that she ever experienced that in his or her school.
I see.
Yeah.
Now, you've taught in Ghana before. You taught in Ghana before you traveled to China, and you're teaching in China. So basically, you've had a foretaste of the system in Ghana, and you are in the system in China. Do you think that back home in Ghana, it's possible to apply the measures that are being applied in China?
I think it might be a little bit difficult.
Why?
And I'm saying this because I initially said that all the schools in China are gated schools. Here is my home, Ghana, where we have our campuses and our schools so open that you see hawkers even walking, past on school campuses while you're having lessons and, shouting and making noise here and there. Even animals walking on campus here and there. And also, I think it might be a little bit difficult also because from my experience back home, sometimes some of the teachers are quite careless about some of these things. And we don't really discipline ourselves as to following the rules talk less of making sure that the kids also kind of follow the rules, because someone will say, after all, this is not my child. So if you put on the mask, it is for your life. If you don't, I don't really care. But let me come back to China. We are made to understand that as a child gets into the school, he is your sole responsibility now. And so if the child has a problem, you'll be held responsible.
How many hours do the kids, not to take the wind out of your sail, but how many hours do the kids stay in school? I mean, contact hours before the parents come for them.
Okay, school begins at 9 and ends at 5.
9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Exactly.
I see. All right, and you're saying that looking at the measures that China is putting in place and it's working, you think that we would not be able to apply them here? Don't you think that we could improvise? You made mention of security. Don't you think we can improvise here in Ghana, so as to, even if we can't have it as tight as it is in China, at least to some extent, ensure that the kids are safe?
Okay, all right, thank you. I think we can do that if the public is well educated. And we will have to do this. We'll have to do this by trying to, if we cannot provide fences, I mean, like, how do I say, permanent structures as fences, we can also use these
barricades.
Barricades, exactly. And we have to educate the populace. If you are not a staff of the school, please do not come around.
I see.
And also, if you get to the gate, whatever instruction is given you by who you meet, because you want to get into the school, you have to follow.
I see. Thank you very much. I'll go to Madame Cassandra Chumampofu. She is the PRO of the Ghana Education Service. This is a Walk with Jesus here on Joy 99.7 FM, and we are discussing the resumption of pupils, back to school, managing the anxiety of parents and pupils. Good evening, Madame Cassandra.
Good evening, Pastor.
How are you?
All is well by grace.
We bless Jesus for grace. First of all, I would want to ask you. Some families are still struggling with this whole resumption thing. I want to find out, what are the measures that the Ghana Education Service have put in place to ensure that the resumption of pupils back to school is safe and that would not have issues. What are the measures that have been put in place, the practical measures that have been put in place, please, before we continue?
All right, thank you so much. Let me first of all indicate that when schools closed down, you remember along the line, we had our Form 3s, SHS 3s and Form JHS 3 students going back.
Yes.
And then we put in some measures, and by the grace of God, the two batches were able to sail through to write their final exams and they exited. When they left, we also had a second batch. That is the junior high school students, JHS 2 students also going back. With the experiences we had with the first batch, that's the Form 3s, were able to also ensure and manage the students so well that they also vacated during the Christmas in December. Now, with these 2 recalls and the experiences we have had, and liaising and collaborating with the Ghana Health Service, we have again beefed out what we did. And practically, we have again fumigated and disinfected the schools. Provision of PPEs are underway. We already gave them some, and then we are adding more. So specifically, we are giving them additional Veronica buckets to aid their hand washing. That's the liquid soap, the thermometer guns. We are all equally giving them also face masks and then hand sanitizers. And just as we did for the 2 batches where individual students had access to a sanitizer, same is going to happen from tomorrow. And we have also trained COVID team, rapid response team with the help of Ghana Health Service, where our teachers would be able to handle any suspected case with the collaboration with the district health centers. Schools have been mapped to health facilities now, so that should they have any case, clearly you know that specifically this school is supposed to go to this particular hospital, and there are nurses on standby. And then, of course, because we have also trained our teachers in the schools, they also know how to go about it and how to care for them.
All right.
Specifically in our schools, we have also set aside classrooms or where there are infirmaries or sick bays, what we term as holding rooms, so that in case they check the temperature and the any suspected case or whatever, the student can be kept there while the health experts quickly come in, and then a lot of things put in place.
All right. Now, the president has instructed that everybody should be responsible. I am thinking of our little children in preschool. How are they going to be practically, enforcing responsibility, even as there's going to be full resumption?
Yes, Pastor, you know very well that, yes, these teachers or our non-teaching staff or our caregivers are also parents, they are sisters, they are also very much concerned about the current situation. We all know that we are not in normal times, as we have been saying, the mantra. And so the care that we give to them would be extra, in the sense that we will have to ensure we know how these kids be. We know how they would take off their mask. We know the temptation of even exchanging their mask, because there's possibility of somebody wearing a white or black, somebody with a blue, and then they would want to, because colors do attract and all of that. And that is the reason why the teachers and the caregivers, knowing the times that we find ourselves, have been urged or trained and advised to give extra care and ensure that within the period. And that is the reason why we are not even holding them too long in the schools. So for kindergarten, like Pastor you asked, between 8 and 12, we expect that they close so that at least they can get to their parents safely. But within the time, the teachers are going to give them extra care and ensure that they keep wearing their mask, they don't exchange certain things, they control their playing. There would be teachers would be, enough teachers would be around. In fact, this evening, my Director General even indicated on your TV station, we are going to deploy more national service personnel to even beef up these staff so that we ensure that these protocols are being observed and that the children are safe. That is our priority while they are in school.
Right. You heard Mr. John Kofi Owusu, who is a teacher in China, sharing the China experience. Madam Cassandra, do you think that it is possible, or don't you think that it's possible for us to adopt some of these measures that they have put in place to ensure very, very strict, measures to ensure solution? Don't you think that we can adapt these, some of these things, even if not all, the vital ones, as to ensure that our kids are really safe? Security, for example.
Yes, we can, of course. Best practices, you just can't leave them. You have to learn the best practices from elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it's not out of place to learn from what is happening in his school. But let me indicate also that there are specific decisions also made for specific locations and environment, depending on what is happening. For the security that he spoke about, yes, it is happening. When we recall the second year and then the third year, you realize that we indicated in our guideline, no visitors will be allowed. And we have the parents agitating also, why should you keep our wards in the school without us not going to visit, without us? I said, no, liaise with the school management. These are all security measures to minimize the movement of people in the school. You understand? So we had our teachers managing them, and they were able to write their exit final exams, and they exited. And so again, we are going to minimize movement into the school. If you are not a teacher, just like our brother said, you will not really be allowed. If you are a parent, you will be allowed. But of course, we have to know very well that you are a parent and you are there specifically to do something in the school.
A teacher,
Again,
not to take the wind out of your sail, a teacher indicated that he thinks that those in preschool shouldn't have been called back to school. What do you think about that?
Yes, that is his opinion, which is also not bad. But whatever it is, these kids will go back to school. And so there should be a way of gradually making them used to the school environment.
Okay.
And that's the reason why we aren't even keeping them for long hours. I have had people even calling me parents that I'm not going to allow my kids, my KG, my whatever kids, they are small, I won't allow them. And I said the decision is also yours, whether you want to allow them to go or not to allow them. Of course, during the lockdown, I had people who even had, with all the measures, the online TV and all of that, people also have private teachers coming to teach them. So parents also have their ways of managing their ward. But what we as Ghana Education Service want to say is that in as much as we are going back to school, the measures are going to be strict to ensure that they have a safe environment to study, and will ensure that whatever happens in the school will become our responsibility. And so the children are safe. Let me, give this assurance that they will be safe in our hands in the schools. But of course, the decision always lies in the hands of the parent or the guardian.
All right. Let me get to Mr. Adolph Ewuku Bequeen. Briefly, time not being on our side in just some few minutes. Uncle Adolph, from the psychologist's point of view, how do both parents and pupils manage the fears? Because we cannot deny the fact that there's fear and anxiety in the system. How do parents and the pupils manage the fear that comes with this?
Thank you very much. I think it is important for parents to know that we live in uncertain times. Okay, and living in uncertain times, you wouldn't have everything working the way you want it to work. And parents having understood this must also be in a position to explain it to their children. Okay, what children need, they need safety, they need stability. And it is important that parents explain this school reopening process to children. Yes, they are going back to school. Children have missed their friends. But are they going to all of a sudden socialize? It's going to take gradual process. They are not going to go to school and have it the way they used to have it. This must be explained to children, because they're going to keep social distance even in school. And you can imagine how difficult this will be for children. But it is important that they do that. So between parents and teachers, we must help children. And the onus is on parents to really be comfortable and understand the situation that is happening. Because if parents feel jittery, they're going to transmit that anxiety to the children. Okay? So how do we manage the excitement, the over-excitement of children going back to school? That could be risky to us if we are not able to manage that excitement that they are having. Parents should consider individual family needs. You see, one size doesn't fit all. There are individual family routines. So you check your family and understand what works better for you. Will every family allow their children to go to school? Absolutely not. Not everybody will respond to the call. But it is at the individual family level. You understand your family dynamics. You understand the routines of your family. And no matter what the routines are, you should be able to explain it to the children, for the children to understand. Of course, the explanation to be age appropriate and maturity level. You must take your time, and the preschoolers who are going to school must understand it the way they ought to understand it, different from the GHS and the SC. So communication must be age appropriate. Always trying to calm down the anxieties we parents have.
I see. Auntie Cassandra, the concern of a parent here says that, there are families that may have tested positive. It's possible the families have tested positive on the quiet, and children must go to school. Some may even come asymptomatic, and they have contact with their parents and all of that. So in the midst of all this, how can, from your outfit, you assure the parent who is taking the child to school, God willing, tomorrow, that we have the measures put in place to ensure that even in the midst of these possibilities, your child will come back home without an infection? Briefly, in the next 1 minute.
Exactly the reason why we are enforcing all the protocols, especially with the wearing of masks and the washing of hands in the schools, the use of sanitizers. That I can tell you for a fact that all of these things will be enforced. And so that should the example that you give happen, you know that, your child is always in the mask, and then the possibility of being affected or something will be low. And so it's all about the enforcement of the protocols. You have the buckets, the sanitizers, the mask. But if you don't enforce, if you don't ensure that these students put the mask on, then we expose ourselves. But you also always have to ensure, that's what we have told our teachers, so that we don't get the students pulling the mask down their chins and then, doing things anyhow. In fact, the students themselves, I tell you, Pastor, the students themselves know very well the times that we are in, looking at where we went, the first two cases. And so,
but I can assure you that the preschoolers don't know what is going on. They just know that, look, they said there's something called COVID-19 and we have to wear masks. They don't know the extent to which.
Yes, as for the preschoolers, yes. And GS, we start from kindergarten. The preschoolers and the crèche people are not under an education service. So I can say for the kindergarten that, when they come to school, within the 4 hours that they will spend in school, we will ensure that they are well protected. And all the measures will support them. In fact, we will really support them to keep wearing their masks and to be washing their hands. But we will not make, mostly in the kindergarten class, you find their baths being put together. There are times or there are some cases you even find that they'll remove all their water to make it easy for them.
Even in lower primary. I'm saying even in lower primary.
Yes, even in lower primary, yes. Yes, and so clearly we will enforce, we will support them to observe the rules.
Right. All right, I'm going to take your last comment. It's amazing. It's just amazing that time flies. Time is not on our side. But I'm going to take your last comment, Mr. Adolf Ewuku Bekwing, an assurance from you and to parents, even as we resume, before we wrap up, sir.
Well, I think that each individual family must decide what they make out of the directive for children to go back to school. If you listen to the president, you listen to your own source of information, you know what is happening around the world, and you think that you are not too sure, you have to take the decision that best suits your family. It is very important. And we need families should be able to validate the feelings of children. Because children so far have been very, very good. They have stayed well at home. The surge that is happening in this country, the children did not contribute to that. Yet we are asking them to go. and contend with the church. I think it's unfortunate.
All right, so this is probably where we'll wrap up on. Okay, all right. Uncle John is on. Uncle John, in the next 1 minute, I would want to take your last comment before we wrap up, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All I would want to say is that we are all talking about the kids, but I think our teachers also must lead by example. They must also try as much as possible to adhere strictly to the laid down protocols and measures put in place so that the kids can also actually do exactly what they are asked to do. Because if a teacher has the mask hanging under the chin, a kid would like to copy that.
Yeah.
So I think the teachers will also have to try to be self-disciplined, and so that whatever instructions are given to the kids, it goes well for all of us. God bless our homeland, Ghana.
God bless you too. Thank you very much. And Reverend Abraham Ofosofori sends his regards to you, Uncle John. Many thanks to you, Mr. Adolf Ewuku Bequin, clinical psychologist and lecturer at the Methodist University College, and to Madame Cassandra Chum Ampofu, GES PRO, and to John Kofi Owusu, a teacher in the Shandong province in China. Thank you very much for the education. Thank you so much for the encouragement. God richly bless you. This is where we wrap up on today's edition of A Walk with Jesus. Up next is Jazz on Joy. Many thanks to my able producers, AB and Michaela. God willing, tomorrow, 4 a.m., we meet right here for Joy Time in His presence. My name is Acquah, and I am out.